Hello, welcome back. This is Ravindra. In the last session, we discussed about date dimension, right? In this session, we're going to discuss about account dimension. Okay. Later, we'll discuss on the version dimension, then generic, then organization, right? So we'll go one by one. Let's start with account dimension. Coming to account dimension. So account dimension is a very important dimension within the planning model. When you see an account dimension, so we'll have members. Account dimension is used to store chart of accounts of financial planning. Okay, so that is your chart of accounts. So from your accounting perspective, if you see this account members normally belonging to profit and loss statement and balance sheet. So we can see that the account dimension normally stores your P&L profit and loss statements, then balance sheet accounts, then sometimes it shows your KPI accounts, then after that statistical accounts. Statistical accounts. So balance sheet normally will be your sales revenue and like salary expenses. So your revenues and expenses only. Then after that, if you come to balance sheet, that is your cash, inventory, right? Loans. Then after the capital, then retained earnings. So this all belongs to your balance sheet. And normally if you see your KPI accounts like gross profit percentage or margin percentage, right? Like this, we can have it. Statistical, like your headcounts, right? So like this, we have your accounts. Members are grouped according to account types. So this is the default property which is created automatically. First account type is INC, that is your income. Then after that, we have EXP, that is your expense. Then after that, we have AST for assets. Then we got LEQ, that is liability and equity. Okay. Then after that, NFIN, that is your non-finance group. These are the 5 categories which we'll find it as the account types within your account dimension. Okay. Asset, liability, and equity. These two accounts normally they belong to balance sheet. And income and expense, these two account types belongs to profit and loss statement. Okay. So first, chart of accounts, and they have normally profit and loss statements and balance sheet statements. And this particular accounts are grouped into four types mainly. That is your income, expense, asset, and liabilities and equity. And income and expense belongs to profit and loss statements, and asset and liquidity. Sorry, asset and liability belongs to balance sheet statement. Fine. Okay. The main point is in analytic cloud, you can enter all the values as positive numbers, and the switching of signs, right? The switching of signs, whether it is positive or negative, is automatically handled based on your account types. Okay. This we'll try to discuss in a little bit more detail. Along with the account type, a hierarchy is being created automatically, a default hierarchy. Plus, we have your aggregation type. So one of the attribute. Then after that, we have formula. Then after that, we have exception aggregation. Then that is your exception dimension. Then required dimensions. Then after that, we got scale. Fine. Then after that, your decimal places. Then unit type. Then fixed unit. Then after that, whether hide or display, right? Then threshold, right? So these are some of the properties. Along with this hierarchy, default hierarchy, then multiple properties are defined. Now we'll discuss each property, right? I'll try to explain you in a very simple and fundamental way without loading any complex data and all, right? So some may be expecting a lot of real-time data or flat file data and all, not required, right? Try to understand the concept and see that we are trying to cover this particular fundamentals in a very simplified way. Okay. So that is one. And secondly, in the new model, in the new modern model, account dimension is optional, right? So account dimension is optional. So let's go for the next slide. In ECC or S/4HANA Finance, debit balances are stored positive. So stored positive internally, whereas credit balances are stored negative internally. So this is how it's stored in your accounting. So when you see asset, asset accounts, then it is your debit balance. It is in your ECC. Then expense, debit balance. Okay. Revenue, it is your credit balance. Then after that, liabilities, it is your credit balance. And equity, credit balance. So this is your positive. Then it will be stored positively. Expenses will be stored. Debits will be, expenses will be stored as positive values. Then revenues will be stored as negative values. Liabilities as negative values. And equity will be stored as negative values. In the same fashion, even in SAC model, in SAC model also, your asset values will be stored positive in the model. So when you try to load the data from your ERP system, this positive values will be loaded here as positive. Then after that, expense as positive, not negative. It will be, expenses will be stored as positive in the SSC. Revenue will be negative. It will be stored as negative values. Then liabilities negative and equity negative. Storage within the SSC model, right? In the SAC model, it will be stored, asset and expenses will be stored as positive. Revenue, liabilities, and equality will be stored as negative. And when you come to the story, your SAC story, your asset values will be displayed as positive. Expenses will be displayed as positive. Revenues, which are stored negative according to the ECC model, then it will be showing as positive. We'll try to flip the sign automatically. Then after that, liabilities will be displayed as positive. Then equity will be shown as positive. So the revenue, liabilities, and equity, these three will be automatically flipped. The sign will be flipped to positive while displaying to the user. So in manual planning within the story, you can enter the values in all in positive, right? Say for example, revenue, when you enter a positive value, then automatically the data will be saved in your model as negative value. So whenever you're making any entry of your liabilities in positive, then it will save it as negative. Equity, when you save it as, say for example, when you're posting some retained earnings, positive value, but internally it will be stored as negative value. The property accounting type will handle this automatically. Fine. So when we see the P&L, profit and loss income statement, where we see the net profit is equal to your revenue minus expense. Okay. So we'll try to create one model for this. Second, coming to your balance sheet. So balance sheet accounts, as we know that assets is equal to liabilities plus equity. Fine. So one side assets and liabilities plus equities both should tally within the balance sheet. So in SAC perspective, so assets minus liabilities minus equity, your balance sheet should show as 0. Cool. So what we'll do is first we'll try to complete this account type. Then after that, we'll go for decimal places, then calculations, exception aggregations, then hierarchy, right? So this all the properties we'll see one by one. The first very important thing is how to design your account type. Then after that, your hierarchy, these two things. So we'll try to complete this one now. So let's go to the next slide. Account members or accounts, we can say. So first we'll create all accounts. So under all accounts, we'll have P&L accounts, profit and loss accounts. Then after that, we have balance sheet accounts, and within the profit and loss accounts, we'll take revenues. And one more thing is your expenses. Fine. Then within your balance sheet, we'll go for asset. Then your liability. Then equity. Cool. So under your revenue, say for example, we'll take a revenue account. We can have, so within the revenue, we'll take sales revenue. Expenses, for example, salary expenses. Simple, we'll keep it simple. Then assets, for example, cash. We can take inventory. Then liability. Let's take, say, for example, loan. Then equity, for example, capital. Or we can say one more is a retained earnings account. So we'll try to build a structure like this. So for main nodes, what we'll start as a PL 100, and this is PL 200. Fine. Then for your net profit, so before this revenues and expenses, we'll take net profit. Okay. Under net profit, we'll have revenues and expenses. So we'll take this as PL 300, and revenues is PL 400, expenses PL 500, balance sheet PL 600, assets PL 700. So this is your IDs, member IDs we'll give it, and this will be the text. Then after that, liabilities, we'll take it as PL 800 and equity PL 900. And for accounts, we'll take revenue accounts as 1000. Sorry. For sales revenue, we'll take this as 1000 as account number. Expenses, we'll give this as 2000. Then cash is 300. Cash 3000. Inventory 4000. Loans 5000. Capital 6000. And retain earnings is 7000. Okay, your accounts will give numeric numbers, and for this I'll try to give this as your IDs for that. Okay, later if any KPIs is required, then we'll make, for example, PL, or we'll give it as KP 100. That will give it as KPIs. Okay, first we'll try to design this particular account members, and let's see a practical now. Step 1, go to modeler. Within the modeler, let us create a new model. Start with an empty model. Click on create. Here, as this is a planning model, date and version are created automatically. Now we need to create one account dimension. Let's go to add dimension and check this as account, and the type of dimension is your account dimension. Click on add. So once it is done, let's go to your measures now. Within the measures, we'll take this as value. The description also will keep it as value. And let's go to decimal. I'll keep the default as 7. It's fine. Aggregation type, we'll take it as sum. And these things we'll do the discussion a little later. Okay. A simple model with a simple account and one measure with default dimensions. Now save it. We'll save this model under my folder E2 tag, and we'll give this as S0 underscore account model. Then I'll give the same description here and save it. So by default, for version dimension, there will be actual member which will be created. So we'll work with the actual only. If you want, you can plan for planning also, but actual is fine. So think that we are working with ERP data. Okay. Actual data which is coming from ERP. We're not loading it, but we can maintain the data directly with manual entry also. Fine. Next, let's come to your account dimension, edit dimension table. Within the dimension table, we have your account members, description, hierarchy, formula, account type, aggregation type, exception aggregation dimension, required dimensions, then scale, decimal places, unit type, fixed unit, threshold, and height. So these are all your properties, and one default hierarchy will be created automatically. Now, according to our diagram, so we'll have a look at this. We'll first create all accounts. We'll start from PL 100, then PL 200 is your P&L account, then balance sheet accounts, right? So one by one, we'll try to so according to the accounting hierarchy, so what we have discussed, so we'll have all accounts as PL 100, then PL 200 is your P&L account, Then 300 is your net profit. PL 400 is your revenues. PL 500 is your expense. Okay. So this is this is what we'll try to create. And balance sheets will be your PL 600. Under this, assets PL 700, liability is PL 800, equity is PL 900. Right? Let's try to create it now. First, I'll go for PL 100, PL 100, PL 200. Then I'll select both, drag and drop to PL 800. I think we have up to PL 900 is one, right? These are your notes and your accounts. We have from 1000 to we had up to I think 7,000, right? So 1000 and another account is 2000. Then select both 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7,000 entries now. Now let me give some description to this. This is your all accounts. And this is your profit and loss account. Then after that, we'll go for your net profit. PL 400 is your revenues. REVNUES revenues. Okay. Then after that, expenses. Then after that, I'll go PL 600 as your assets or balance sheet accounts, right? Okay. Balance sheet accounts. Then after that, PL 700 is your assets. Then we go for liabilities. Then equity. Okay. So this is all your grouping of your equity accounts. Under this, first we'll take it as revenue accounts. We'll take it as, for example, in revenues, we'll take this here as sales revenue. Then this will be your 2000 is your salary expense. So we have taken 3000 as your asset for cash. Then inventory. Then it'll be your loan. So one more is capital income. Then after retained earnings. Okay. So this is the description that we are trying to set it up. Now first, let us save this because now see you're not able to see the hierarchy yet. So first we need to save the members. So let us save it. And this model, I'll try to save this as S0 underscore account model. And I'll try to save the description also same under my folder. Click on save. Next step, we can build your hierarchy. Fine. So we can build up your account hierarchy. So you can do it manually. Otherwise, you can do it graphically also. So first is your PL all accounts is your root node. Under this, you can have PL 100 is your node for this, and net profit comes under your PL 200. And for revenues and expenses will come under your PL 300. So copy this node and paste it here. That also can be done, right? So this is one way of manually doing or constructing your hierarchy. And the hierarchy type for account is your parent and child hierarchy. So only two fields are required for this. That is your member ID and another is your hierarchy. Parent, this is your parent and this is your child. So let's go to hierarchy management. And we have seen that up to this, it is already structured. And these are unassigned nodes. Now, under your net profit, we have your revenues and expenses. So salary expense will come under your expenses. So just take this, drag and drop on top of this PL 500. So this will become your child of your expense, right? Okay. Next, sales revenue should be put under your revenues account. Then after that, coming to your balance sheet, assets should come under your balance sheet. Then liabilities under your balance sheet, equity under your balance sheet. Then cash under the asset, inventory under the asset, loan is your liability, capital under your equity, retained earnings under your equity. Now, if you see the structure, this is your all accounts, and all accounts, under all accounts, we got your profit and loss account, right? The balance sheet is coming outside this one. So we'll try to drag and put on top of your PL 100. So these two will be there under your all accounts. So we are trying to put P&L account and balance sheet account under one particular hierarchy. Now save it, then close. See that the values are assigned automatically here. Once it is done, then we need to assign your account type. So before hierarchy creation also we can assign the account type. So we can do it now also, fine. So now all accounts, I'll try to take this as your income, then profit and loss, income, net profit. It'll put that as income, then revenues, income, then expenses, set it as expense, then balance sheet. I'll try to put this as non-finance. Asset is coming under asset. Liabilities is coming under your liquidity. Then equity is coming under LEQ. Then this is up to your notes. Then coming to your accounts, sales revenue is coming under your income. This is coming under your expense. Cash is coming under your asset to the company. Then inventory is your asset. Loan is your liability. Then capital is also your LQ, and retained earnings also is your liability. Okay. So your account type should be set like this. Now click on save. Then go back. So we have set a simple model. Then what we'll do is we'll try to enter some values. We're not going to load any data from your ERP system. We'll think that we'll simulate as if we are loading the data from your ERP system. That is your debit values and credit values should be loaded into your model. But I'm trying to maintain a very simple structure, okay, and show you how the data is being stored in your models internally, right? Okay. Now I'll ensure that it is saved. Let's go for creating one input form. Go to story, canvas. So the data one is not required. So I'll drag and drop the table widget into your canvas. Then within the builder, we want one account and one measure. So let's go to all accounts and go to measures and select your value measure. Simple done. Next, in my columns, I want to display the date. So let's go for the date one. Again, click outside. And for the date, I don't want to display for, so by default, your dates are maintained for 2 years, right? Your account model, for dates, we see that there are 2 years maintained as your master data, that is 2026 and 27. So I want to show, or I want to enter values only for 2026. 1 year we'll try to concentrate. That's fine. Now coming to your date, go to your filter by member. No values displayed. Then you need to go to settings, available time interval, set it to all time intervals. Then select only 2026. Under 26, you'll be having your quarters, and the values will be is at month level, right? So the leaves are at month level, so the data will be distributed according to your months. Okay, so I set it as date to 2026. Fine. Now we want to enter some actuals into this. Let's go to your accounts. Click on the more and go for show unbooked data for accounts. So that even though there are no entries, unbooked values for profit and loss accounts and balance sheet will be displayed here. I want to display all the values for the accounts. So right click on the account dimension and go for level 5. So we have all the values displayed. Now coming to your measures. So let's go to measures and go to show unbooked data. So value for 2026, we are able to enter some value for this one. Okay. First, we'll see the profit and loss. So in profit and loss, we know, so for the income statement, so revenues minus expenses should be your net profit there. Now, when I go for sales revenue, let's say I'm going to put here the sales revenue as 6,000. Okay, simple value. Don't go for very big values. Go for a simple value as 6,000 INR. Then after that, just enter. Just enter. We're able to see our sales revenue as 6,000 here. Now, coming back to your model data. So go back. This is your date data. So we have to go to your data management again. Then come back to your model structure and go to show unpublished data because it is not yet saved and it is stored in the memory to that particular user only. Right now, according to the funda, what we discussed before, that your income, even though we entered here as 6,000 as positive, but it is saved in the model as negative values here. Okay, and this, it is distributed, 6,000 is being distributed to your quarter, and for the quarter we have the months here. For Jan month, so we are able to see the sales revenue for January 2026 as 500. Okay, mean to say, whenever you load the data from your ERP system, that is your revenues, it will be stored in your model as negative values. They come as negative values, right? So revenue as negative, but it is handled. Now you can see our theory. So we can see here that your revenues in your ERP, it is your credit balance, and SAC, it will be storing here as negative, and in SAC, it should show as positive. Okay. So revenue should be negative, and expenses, it is your debit balance, and within your SAC, it is positive. It should be stored as positive. Fine. And liabilities and equity, same like your revenues. We enter the positive values in the SAC, but internally it will be stored as negative. The physical storage of the data will be negative. Fine. So let's go back and see your story values here. Cool. Now sales revenue is we made it as 6,000. Let's go back to year level. And we see that this is 6,000 for the revenues, and salary expense, I'm making this as 5,000. Expenses 5,000. Now what has happened? Revenues minus expenses is your net profit, and that is what the account it shows here. Now we have not written any formulas here. So you can see in your account dimension. So we have not written any formulas here. No formulas, nothing written. Now what is being tackled? That is calculations are done automatically according to your account type. The storage of the data as well as how the value should be calculated, right? That depends according to your financial principles. So no need to write any formulas. Automatically, this is being handled. For your profit and loss accounts, the calculations are done automatically. Now let's come to the balance sheet. So balance sheet, it should be zero, right? It should be balanced up according to your assets. So assets is equal to liabilities plus equity, or it can be your assets minus liabilities minus equity should be equal to your zero within the balance sheet, right? So let's say my capital is 6,000. So assets, I will take here as say, for example, 5,000. All right. Inventory, I'll make this as 5,000 or six, or we can take this as 5 or how much will it take? So inventory, I'm taking this also as 5,000. So total assets, I have 10,000 here. Now coming to the loans, I'll make this as say, for example, 3,000. Then capita is 4,000. And 3,000. Fine. Now we can see that your balance sheet has become zero now. Now we have not written any calculations for this one, right? So what has happened? Assets is 10,000. So assets is equal to liabilities plus equity. 7,000 plus 3,000 is equal to 10,000. And your balance sheet is becoming zero here. Okay, cool guys. So this is a simple account model. First, what you need to create it. Then what I will do is I'll try to, now we'll see the values here. For expenses, we have seen that the values, how it is stored in your data. So 1,000, 2,000, we'll try to refresh again. Drag it to the top. So 2,000 is a positive, all right? And after that, 3,000 asset is again positive values. 4,000 is again positive inventory. Then after that, 5,000 is your loan, right? It comes to your liability. Then after that, capita is also negative. And after that, 7,000, this one also, that is your retained earnings also is negatively stored. But what we entered here is positive. It is showing in the report. This is very, very important fundamental to understand, right? How the data is being stored and how the data is being displayed in your SAC model. So this funda is very important. Next, we'll go to So what we completed now? So we have completed your members. Then after that, we have seen how to enter the description for that. Then after that, we have seen how to create an hierarchy, parent and child hierarchy. And third, we'll be going for your one more property, that is your decimal places. Right? We'll go to the property now. For the account dimension, let's go to the account dimension. We have this one as aggregation type. We'll try to set for this as sum. Let's make the default for all this as sum. Cool. Next, coming to your decimal places. Simple thing is your decimal places. So in order to maintain your decimal places for display within the story for this particular account, so many decimal places, we can set for individual accounts here, right? For revenue, so many decimal places you should be displayed. That is advantage of your, again, your account-based model here, right? So when you go for, say, 1000, so for 1000, what is the value here? How many decimal places you should be displayed here? Fine. So for all these accounts, I'll try to make this decimal places as 2. Let's say, for example, I'm trying to display here at the decimal places as 2. And for this also, we'll try to display the decimal places as 2. The default, I'm trying to set the decimal places for the account members as 2 decimal places. Now the same decimal places settings can be done within your measure also. So here also, we can see that we have the property of your decimal place. Now, either we want, now there is a conflict between your dimension decimal places and your measured decimal places, right? Now, which one to show now? Either I should show 2 or 0. That user can decide while reporting. But how to do this? There's in conflict. Now, currently we are not able to see any decimal places now, right? There are 0 decimal places. Mean to say that it is showing us your measure formatting decimal places. Okay. So let me publish the data. Means I'm trying to save the data permanently into my model. It is done. So my balance sheet is 0. And these are all the values which are saved in my model now. Now, currently it is showing as unpublished data. But if I refresh now, once it is saved permanently, then click on switch data management. Again, come back to your model structure. Now, without showing this, because now it is not there temporarily in the memory, it is directly written. The data is written into your model database there. Okay. If you want to display the data according to your account dimension, decimal places according to account dimension, then we need to go to your model settings, structure priority. Now, this is either you want the decimal places to be displayed from measure or from account. If I try to set this to account, now I can click on save and save it again. So once it is done, let's go back to the story. First, what you can do is try to refresh directly from your story. Click on data refresh. This effect is not at, so the data is not at affected because the buffer still is filled with your old preference. Then we'll refresh or reload the whole page. Oh, we not saved it. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we not saved the model. So then I'll try to set it again. Okay, no worries. So let me go to the table, take it as all accounts, measure as this. Then I'll take date also here and date, try to set it to year. Then coming to uh, account, I'll try to display this as level 5. Then after that, let's go for dragging this down. Done. Okay. Now again, we can see that the data now it is displaying here as what 1000.00 means 2 decimal places. All right. Means now it is following according to your account property value. Okay. So there are some properties which are maintained at account level as well as your measure, right? So first property which has a conflict is your decimal places. In order to tackle this, so if you want to display again to measure, then go to your structure priority to measures and save it. Let's go back to this. Now save it up again. So we'll try to save the more as save this one. And under my folder, I'll save this as account model story, right? Or you can make it as input form. Save it. Because again, if you refresh it, if it is not saved, then we lose the modeling. So now what you can do is we'll go back and refresh the whole page now. 2 decimal places means it is according to your account dimension. Now I want to display this is without decimal places. That is 0 decimal places. Now 0 decimal places. Fine. The main advantage with the account is some models, right? Some models here, for example, sales revenue, I want 2 decimal places, but for sales salary expense, I want to have 3 decimal places. So 2 and 3. So for each particular member, I can set it different decimal places, right? For a measure, when you set it as, say, for example, 2, then all the members will be affected with that, right? It is only one option, but advantage with the account model is for each member, you can set it individually. Let's see that. So let me go to the account, and within this, for example, for your sales revenue, I want to set it to 2 decimal places, and this one I want to set this to 3 decimal places. Okay, now save it and try to refresh now. So it is under measures, right? Now I need to set up here also as structure priority to account and save it. And refresh. Sorry, we'll go for refreshing the whole page. Because refreshing the memory, it is not making any structural changes. Now we can see here sales revenue is 2 decimal places and expenses is 3 decimal places. Got it? 3 decimal places, 2 and 3. Other properties of your model, that is your exception aggregation, then after that scale, then what is the unit type, then your currency conversion. Okay. So these all things we'll discuss in the session 3. Okay, guys. Okay, everyone. Thank you.